everyone. This is Christina back with you once again with the one and only Miss Gwendolyn, CEO and founder of Moya Institute. Over the past couple of weeks, it's been like almost 8 weeks, right? 7 weeks. The past 7 weeks, we've been sitting down talking about meditation and self-care, a radical life-affirming response to racism. And within the blog post, she's written 9 steps to disrupt the health effects of systemic racism. So it's been a pleasure sitting alongside you. But before we get started, we're going to do a couple of deep breaths to get our minds present and then get it popping.
That's right. Thank you so much, Christina. And let me just say too that these are steps that we can take to offset the effects of chronic stress and being in a society where there's so much racism. It's a chronically stressful condition for African American people and other people of color. And these are health habits that can help everyone.
Yes. I found the tips over the past couple of weeks to be very helpful in just my everyday life.
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
The application is beautiful. Go ahead.
So let's sit with our feet flat on the floor, eyes closed, and spine erect. And let's take 3 deep breaths. And remember, when you breathe in, when you inhale, you should feel your stomach extend. It should be distended. And then when you exhale, it should come in. So begin. As your lungs fill up, your stomach will extend. Hold it. Exhale. You're emptying your lungs. So again, inhale. Hold it. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. And as you make that last exhale, you just feel yourself really being present. Mind emptying, clearing, so that your attention is here with us.
Yes. I love the breath work, and it's like right in the middle of the day too, because okay, we're done with the morning, now the afternoon.
Yeah.
So in today's segment, we're talking about your 7th steps to disrupt the health effects of the stress that comes with systemic racism. And number 7 is feel your feelings. Can you become an observer of your inner state without projecting your emotions onto others or being pulled downward into depression? With support, it is possible to unravel the incomplete or undigested emotional traumas of the past that trigger explosive emotional responses. When we can bring awareness to what is really going on inside, we can begin to heal.
Absolutely. And one thing that is sometimes not in our awareness is that oftentimes when we're reacting, it's about more than just what's happening in the present moment. We've got these traumas from the past, disappointments from the past, hurts from the past. Even in terms of what we've learned from our parents in terms of how to respond, just based on their behavior sometimes.
Yes.
It can be an unhealthy response. And so, for instance, what happens is whenever we haven't completely experienced an emotion or like a hurt or something, it actually lives in our sort of body-mind consciousness as a charge.
So what is body-mind consciousness for someone who's not aware?
Well, so the body and mind are connected. And so incomplete emotional experiences get stored in our subconscious mind. And they actually have a home someplace in our cellular memory, right? And so when something happens that reminds us of that, or is similar to that, or it gives us the same feeling that we had when we had that incomplete emotional experience, it triggers us. And we have what is called a charge, or an explosive response.
Gotcha.
So, for instance, if someone said something to you like years ago, called you a bad name or something like that, and you let that go into your consciousness, and you didn't really get a chance to address how you felt about that, the next time you hear that word, you might go off on the person.
It's on and popping.
And it may not even be that the response in this moment calls for that.
Right.
But because you are adding that to, and it's like an automatic thing, it's not a conscious thing that we're doing, but because that's being added to that old herd,
right.
You're right, it's often popping.
Right. So it's interesting because you said cellular, which means we're talking about DNA responses.
In your cells, in your body,
That's
in your tissues, in your
right.
muscles, right? So there have been studies that have been done looking at like how emotions relate to illness. And for sure we talked in the initial in our initial conversation about the stress, chronic stress, and how it really causes us to causes changes to be made in the expression of our DNA. Right. It doesn't really change our DNA, but it changes the way it expresses in the world.
Right.
And so we have more proclivity or more tendency for certain kinds of diseases because of chronic stress.
Right.
Yeah.
So with, in a general sense, when we're dealing with systemic racism, it's usually a fight or flight response.
That's right.
For African American people of color, right? So in a fight or flight response, that can be triggered
right
anywhere. That could be like from the policeman pulling you over wrongfully to somebody commenting on your hair in a corporate environment. It can lead to the same kind of reactions because the instances are similar.
And you're in hyper vigilant, in that kind of fight or flight response. You're just sort of in this waiting, like it may not even be in your conscious mind. You may not see it. You may, but internally you're kind of waiting for the next attack. So that's really harmful.
So in those responses, because I've been in both situations in similar environments, I know physically the stress was immediately breath. Breath was getting labored.
Yes.
I started seeing like black. It was like very interesting, but I also remember how my body felt, and my heart rate was through the roof. My hands were shaking. So how can a constant state like that affect the physical body?
Well, yeah, you're stressing out. You're adding more cortisol into your bloodstream. It's contributing to your blood pressure. It's like you're really giving your body like overwork to do. I remember being in a bank one day, and this is like a bank that I bank at. I'm not gonna name it, but always, every time I went in there to take care of business, it was always something. Oh, you need this signature. Oh no, we can't cash this check today. And I knew it was racially motivated. And one day I went in there and I just said, "You're cashing this check today. I'm the power of attorney on this account. The state of California imbues certain rights and responsibilities, and you can't change that, right?" But I noticed that, and then I had an exchange where I actually went on called the customer support number to talk to this person in the bank but I was so angry when I left the bank until my entire crown chakra was on fire. It was like the top of my head was about to explode.
Like literally seething.
Literally, really.
Seething, yeah.
And so, these are like really, it's really unfortunate that we are subjected to those kinds of things that bring these responses out.
Right.
But what we do have to take responsibility, because I sat in my car and cried and called my sister and I said, "My head is is on fire. It's like, I just like got so mad.
Right.
So my head is on fire.
Right.
And so, like I realized that there's actually a physical response, like in my body, that's affecting my crown chakra. That's not doing anything to that woman on the other side of the counter. Right. And so part of the challenge that we have is how do we experience our emotions and feel them, one, from a place of witnessing and observing as opposed to being engaged on that level.
And that's hard.
It's hard.
Especially when you're dealing with other people.
But it's necessary.
It's necessary. It's absolutely necessary, because at the end of the day, I can't control how you were raised, what your biases are. I can't control none of that. All I can control is how I respond to you and continue to respond to you, because a lot of us, we carry it throughout the day.
Exactly.
It's not just that it happened in that moment. Now every person, I'm just irked to my core, to my spirit, so you can go to sleep. And then we just talked about sleep last week. You can go to sleep and it could affect your sleep cycle. That's
true. And the other thing, if we watch children, they're like a perfect example of how emotions should pass through you. A lot of times you'll see a child might get hurt or get upset about something, and it's raw. It's like that's expressed
in the moment. Yeah.
And then when it's over, it's over.
And they're gone.
Right.
They done moved on.
They're not holding like this, oh, I'm gonna get you back. Most children.
Right, most children. Most children are not like trying to come up with dialogue.
Right. They're done when it's done.
Right.
And so like for emotions to sort of like pass through us. And what I'm saying is that if we are making a habit of being aware, being in awareness, we actually have more capacity to be in a witness state, so that we're not reacting, but we're also not burying these emotions, because really disease actually, by the time it shows up in the physical body, it has been being created on the subtle levels for a long time. And when we bury our feelings all the time, and when we push them down, and we don't bring conscious awareness to them, we're actually ripe for disease to develop in the body.
Yeah, I'm a witness to that. Stress. Yes. I get heart palpitations. That's my first indicator that I'm too stressed out. I'm like, ooh, hold on. Because I don't do high caffeine or anything like that. So if my heart starts skipping beats, I'm like, okay, we got to take a moment. But there are instances that your body will tell you that you're stressed or that you're overwhelmed before you hit a heart attack.
Exactly. And the other thing is that you made a really good point. Like, I can't control what the other person does or feels or how they were brought up, but I can be responsible for my response. And so many times we want to blame the other person. We want to project whatever we're feeling onto someone else. And that's not helpful either, So this is like a balancing on the razor's edge, I call it, You have to, I think the more you engage in mindfulness practices, paying attention to your breath, paying attention to what's happening in the moment, paying attention to what you're feeling right now, you are in a better position to witness what's happening when you're in a stressful state as well.
Right.
So to allow yourself to become aware, oh, you know what, I am really angry right now. I'm really angry right now, or I'm feeling anger more than I am angry. I'm feeling anger right now. And then, ask the question, is this just about what's happening now? What's really going on? What's at the core? And, we have this internal wisdom in our body and in our consciousness that you'll see often. You'll be reminded of that old thing that happened that caused you to feel this way now, like to overreact now. Maybe what's happening now is not good either, and a response is required, but it could possibly be a verbal response.
Right.
It could possibly be an opportunity to bring someone, to sort of bring them to awareness of what's happening, as opposed to like all out emotional warfare.
Response. Yes. And like you said, there is levels to it, right? The situation may not, in extreme circumstances of systemic racism, you may not have a moment to take a breath. You may not have a moment to sit there and reflect and be like, is this me? Like, you may not. And in the situation, you may have to handle it. But what comes out of that? Are you going to carry? That's why I said the concept of carrying. Are you going to carry that forever?
Yeah.
Sometimes you may have to carry it for 2 or 3 days if it's traumatic.
Are you gonna ruminate and
ruminate? And now every single person you see is like pins and needles, right?
Right.
So it's interesting because balance, like you said, razor's edge, and balance is the key part of that. Is understanding for yourself, and that's self-awareness and knowing self. Where's the line? When are some responses necessary, and then how do you as a person heal through it?
And I think if you make a practice, and this is like helping yourself to be positioned better when these things occur, as opposed to waiting until they occur and then trying to respond. But if you make a practice of doing breath work, of meditating, of journaling, of actually making inquiry about what's going on internally for you, you become more aware of your interior landscape, right? And like where the landmines are in your interior landscape. And so then you're able to take that awareness into your day-to-day life in a way that makes it possible for you to respond as opposed to react. Yeah. So, and there are a few things that like we can do. Like we can, we started like doing these 3 deep breaths at the beginning of the session. I would encourage everyone to continue that deep breathing. Like take 7 minutes a day and just do that breathing in, holding it, and exhale. Breathing in, holding it, and exhale. And you can do it in the morning, you can do it at a break, and if you don't have 7 minutes, do 3 minutes. I mean, do it in bite-sized pieces so that you can begin to cultivate this quietness, this awareness in your own being.
Absolutely. Peace.
Peace.
Within.
Yeah. And you can get support from healers. If you have a lot of trauma in your childhood experience, for instance, there's a need for that to be processed, to be brought up to the surface, so that it's not continuing to inform your actions on a day-to-day basis. And therapy is a good thing. Therapy can be helpful, and you can also work with meditation teachers, Reiki masters, and begin the process of allowing your body to drop and release some of these charges that are stored in the tissues.
Right. Absolutely.
A lot of times people will find when they're, for instance, getting a Reiki treatment, that they get emotional, like you start crying, and sometimes without even knowing why. And it's just because these emotions are being released, and your body is feeling what it feels like to be at home in itself. It's a very relaxed feeling, and a very nurturing feeling. So it's really a good practice.
It is. Feel your feelings. Make sure you actually go through the emotions of what you're going through, so you can grow through it at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Or at the end of the time period in which you're in it.
Mhm.
It's always a pleasure.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with?
Well, I think we should have some homework.
I love homework.
And so we will take the affirmation, I am aware of my feelings. I am aware of my feelings. I am aware of my feelings. And this is an invitation to bring awareness, bring awareness, speak into existence something that will help you on a day-to-day basis. So bring awareness into your feeling world. There's a connection between mind, body, and spirit, and what we feel affects our actions, and that affects our well-being.
Absolutely. Well, it's always a pleasure once again to sit beside you, and you can catch Miss Gwendolyn. You have a virtual meditation.
We do actually 6 nights a week, Monday through Saturday. And I'll have Christina maybe post this on the end of the video, but several people actually lead these meditations, and they're for anybody, regardless of religion, regardless of race or ethnicity. We have a meditation online, and the link is bit.ly, bit.ly, //
Got you.
online, so it's bit.ly online meditation. And online is caps, and meditation is caps, and there's a dash in the middle.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
So bit.ly / online - meditation.
Right.
There
I'll
you
double
go.
check the / piece.
There you go. Well, there you are. You can go ahead and check out meditation with a variety of experts 6 days a week. And we will holler at you next week, next Tuesday
Absolutely.
at 12 p.m.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank
it's
you.
a pleasure. Thank you,
Always.
Cobes.
I'll holler at y'all next time. Actually, we'll be back in like 30 minutes because Tiffany is going to be putting up her third art piece in the Cobes window. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
I'll holler at y'all in 30.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.